programs. Okay, so whatever I have achieved, whatever I have been able to do, whatever I have been able to contribute, it is just because of the colleagues, the students, my teachers. The topic given to me by the organizer is research design. I don't know actually
Recording in progress.
What all has been already been discussed by other colleagues, other experts. But because if it is known to me, I could have related, but I will start with my topic, research design. Before I start with the topic, as the topic has two words, research designs. I want to dwell on these two words first. What is the design? It is not a new word to most of the participants. When you say design, design, as you understand, it is structure, is a framework, right? And it is the design of anything that determines how that work has to be done and what will be the outcome of that work. Okay, so design is actually a framework, a plan of action to be undertaken by anybody. Let's say when you do something, let's say you do a work in the morning or at any time, when you do the work, you just do not start just like that. You start maybe with certain plan, because if you do not start with a plan, you may not be able to achieve the target, the objective. If you do not have a plan, maybe you will be doing something else which is not related to the work. Or even if it is related to the work, you may be wasting your time by doing so many rudimentary things, and many of the things which are not necessary you may be doing. And thereby, when you carry out a work, planning is very much essential. When you say planning, by the way, I want to ask, to plan something, what is the essential ingredient or component very much essential? Anybody would like to tell? To plan something, what is the essential requirement? Anybody would like to share? Yeah, Sigdar,
Objective.
you are saying something? Yeah,
It's
objects.
time.
Anything else you require? Time at your disposal. Your objective, your time, anything else?
We have to prepare smart
Anything
objects.
else, Sigdar? You have to prepare your objective. If I am listening you correctly, that you are telling, you say that you require objective, right? Very fine. That's very essential requirement. In fact, that's the primary requirement. You require how much time you have at your disposal. Fine. What I'm trying to know from you is, because you are engaged in planning, therefore I am asking the question. Had it not been so, I would have avoided asking and would have just told you. Usama Modi, anything you want to say?
End result be what we are seeking.
End result, that's in terms of objective, what you are going to achieve.
Also task.
Task can be determined only after you know the time and the objectives. So task just can be planned only after that. What is essential requirement? You require how much money you have, finance you have, right? Whether people,
yes,
if you want manpower, whether people are there to help you, they are there to support you, right? So you require also certain other such things like people that you require in the process, right? Let's say maybe your parents, whether they have the finance, whether they have the time to support you, maybe the field work when you are going to carry out, the people there, the sample units, whether they are there to cooperate you, give you the data, they will be cooperative, right? If you want an expertise, let's say you want to validate your tool, whether they are there to help you to validate your tool, right? Whether your guide is there to help you, giving expertise opinion and guidance. So these are other requirements, very much essential at the very primary stage. So that's the planning process. Planning process cannot be initiated without having the objective, that is a primary requirements. Other things, whatever we have discussed, they are the secondary requirements, right? Even if they are not there, you may gather them, you may muster support of them, you may try to get them. But primary requirement is object. What I want to tell you is, let's say you don't have time, you can stretch your time, you can minimize your time on certain things. Let's say you don't have money, you may muster, you may gather, you may try to raise money, right? So these are the secondary requirement for a planning process, right? What I want to tell further to clarify about the design is, let's say you are seeing different people in your daily life. Let's say we are having in our country, let's say Dravidian, let's say Aryan, let's say we have Mongolians. These are the people having different appearance. I think you know them, right? Let's say we have also in other countries African, we have Europeans. These are the people with different appearance. They just do not appear differently just because they are there, but because their structure is different. Structure. What do you mean by structure? Let's say the bone structure, right? Their height is determined. Let's say skeleton. By the way, I want to ask you, can you differentiate from the skeleton of a person that he's an Aryan, he's a Mongolian, he's an African, he's an European? Is it possible? Anybody can tell me yes or no?
No.
No,
You cannot. From the bone structure, can you identify whether the person is a Mongolian or a Dravidian or an Aryan, a European or a African? It cannot be. Your answer is no. Anybody will like to answer? I will give another example. Leave it there. We will come back to that. Let's say we have different houses, different types of houses. Let's say cottage, let's say penthouse, let's say twin bungalow, let's say duplex, let's say high-rise buildings. I think you have all seen them, right? If you have seen them, they are just looking different just that way, or it is because of something else? It is because the structure, the planning process, the structural design that has been there. Like if somebody is preparing a, let's say statue, let's say statue of Durga or statue of Ganesha, or statue of Saraswati or Vishnu, or let's say anybody, any statue, or let's say statue of Sardar Patel or statue of Mahatma Gandhi. These statues look different because the structures are different, right? The structure that are there, only the flesh and blood, let's say only the plaster of Paris being added to that to look like Mahatma Gandhi. The plaster of Paris does not make a statue to look like just Mahatma Gandhi. It is because of the structure. Likewise, even if you say no to the first example of different kind of people look different because of the skeleton, because of the structure. And by the way, the structures are being prepared. Let's say take the example of a house. The design is being different. Why they are different? Because, by the way, I will come back to that person who said no to the answer of people different, looking differently. Who was telling that?
me, sir.
Sikdar, you are telling?
Yes, sir. Because the color, the hair structure, and all these things
They are the
considered
other
to, yeah,
characteristics.
yeah,
They are the
yes, yes.
other characteristics. But if you speak from a very scientific point of view, let's say when you have a unearth the skeleton of a body from the earth, from the skeleton itself, people are science, I mean, people with the scientific background who are dealing with that can identify that whether this, I mean, the skeleton of what type of person. Moreover, what the height of the person, what the, I mean, size of the person, all these are being determined. I think you are convinced. Even if you are not convinced, we can have a discussion on that but let's go ahead. Okay, Sikdar.
Sure,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. Now, coming back to this example that I was giving of houses, why they are with different structure? These houses are being constructed with different structure because of the basic needs. Basic needs in the sense the purposes. By the way, I want to ask the organizer whether Hindi also is okay, or I will speak only in English. Pooja and
Actually, sir, English because some international participants are also here.
I forgot to ask this question. Is it okay to speak only in English, or I will also have Hindi or something also?
Sir, actually, few international participants are also there, so they want lectures to be delivered in English only.
English only, right? Okay. Okay, fine. But if somewhere or there I will use certain other words that can be permitted. Okay.
That's not a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So why the houses are different? Not just by looking, they are built differently because as per our basic purposes, basic needs. Let's say for a house that we construct, we require, let's say, living room, let's say bedroom, let's say washroom, right? Let's say we want a kitchen. All these are our basic needs. Let's say we want fresh air, have a balcony. We want to beautify, let's say have a garden. So these are the elements of a house which has to find in the structure. Unless these are being required, unless these are being specified, that these are the objectives, a house cannot be constructed. Likewise, if we come back to our basic question today, design. Right? What is the design? What is the purpose? What is the meaning of? But before when I come to that research design, we'll come to that. But I have certain other things in mind that I shall cover here. What is the meaning of research? Please remind me. I have to come to that very, topic, that is design, right? Research design. Before that, let me dwell on what is the research. What do you mean by research? By the way, this screen is there on your screen. You can see it. Okay. Pooja, you can see the screen, right? Okay. So research design. When you say research design, what is the meaning of research? What is the purpose of research, and what are the types of research? Because research is another main word here. Research design. What do you mean by research? You are already into the process of research. This is not new to you. So what is research?
A systematic investigation into a study or material or something to establish new facts or new knowledge.
Yeah, one thing very pertinent you utter is scientific. Systematic, you say systematic, right? Systematic means scientific.
Systematic, yes, scientific.
Systematic,
Methodological.
what you want to say is scientific, right? So what is systematic actually? What do you mean by that, systematic or scientific?
Methodologically, or we can replicate this, or it can be tested by other researchers also.
What you are referring is replicability. What you said means doing the same thing again. Somebody can also do it, right? So systematically means step by step, one by one step, and complete the process, and you get a result. And as you said very rightly, if anybody else also will pursue the same process in the same manner, will get the same result. That is scientificity. If anybody else will follow the same process, get a different result, that means there is some problem with these steps. That means that person has not followed. I'll give an example of it. Something that is not scientific. Let's say somebody in India, somewhere by the side of a river, there was a temple, and there was a lamp which was burning day and night. And people claim that that lamp is being burned, is burning with water, right? But on proper investigation, it was found that there was oil on the top of that, and because oil floats, so oil is being soaked in that cotton that is being placed on that water, that lamp, and beneath that there was water. So somebody was hidingly putting oil into that lamp and it was burning. So when it was scientifically investigated, it was found that it cannot be, because common sense says that water cannot be used to burn a lamp, right? So when you say scientific process of doing research, common sense of a person is very much essential. Common sense is intellectual ability, is perception, right? He should be well aware about the facts and incident in and around. Okay. I will give another example. Somebody in southern India, I think in Tamil Nadu, claimed that he can prepare petrol out of herbs. Herbs means घास फूस. In Hindi, it is known as grass. Okay. So from grass one can prepare petroleum. That was the claim. And what that fellow was doing is he put a lot of grasses into a very big bowl. He went on boiling, and he said that on the top of that, see, petrol is being floated. It's being floating. But when it was further being investigated, it was found that the person who was using that, I mean, when he was demonstrating his experiment, it was found that he was stirring the bowl of grass and water with a stick, with a pipe, and within the pipe he put petrol and he sealed it with wax. And when he was stirring, that wax got melted, petrol came out, and it was disproved that yes, you cannot produce petrol from grass. So that is not scientific. Scientific means you do it, and after doing it, if anybody else also will do it, we'll get the same result what you have obtained, right? So that is scientific. So research is a scientific process. Okay. Now when you say scientific process further, uh, if I give another example, you will consume time, but I am tempted to give that example. Let's say you are preparing a cup of tea. When you prepare a cup of tea, let's say you have prepared a recipe, or you follow a recipe already being laid down by a chef, and follow the process of preparing the tea. If you get the same quality of tea with the same taste, that means to that extent it is scientific. But if you give a different test, to that extent it is not scientific. Okay. So the quality of tea in the sense, the appearance, the texture, the taste, the amount. Okay. And to do that, you have to have the amount of water what is being put, means what are the inputs, amount of sugar, amount of tea leaves, the quality of tea leaves, right? The amount of sugar, the time you have taken, all these are to be specified. Then it is a scientific process. So research is a scientific process, that is a step-by-step process. Okay. Now, if you go ahead further, what is the purpose of research? By the way, please remember, we'll come back to the design, and the basic discussion is on research design. But before that, let me just complete this, and this will refresh you. What are the purpose of research? Somebody was telling in the beginning, to reveal truth, facts, right? That is the basic very purpose. And unless our means purpose in the sense our objective to reveal truth. And when you say reveal truth, it demands scientific process and also scientific research. What I mean to tell is fundamental research, right? Fundamental research, that is the type of research. Let's say another purpose is to explain a situation, a problem. When we explain a situation, it requires maybe a survey type of research, right? Or a correlational study. To solve a problem, right? It requires action research, right? To predict the future, it requires futuristic research, another type of research which you have to predict. It can be regression equation that you used to apply to predict the future. maybe a trend analysis. By the way, you know what is intrapolation and extrapolation? What is intrapolation and extrapolation? That is also can be done. What is that intrapolation and extrapolation? Intrapolation, extrapolation, what it is? Anybody like to tell? In the process of research, when you go to the final stage, you have intrapolation and extrapolation. What is that intrapolation and extrapolation? Anybody can tell? Ponkia, Jharna, like to say? Or maybe
That
Shruti or...
extrapolation is predicting something using our own results. Interpolation, I don't know.
Okay. Anybody else like to say what is intrapolation? If you say no, I will tell we have no alternative. Archana is there. Can you take the help of Archana?
Yes,
और
sir. Yes,
सुजाता
sir. I am there.
सुजाता खाली मैं क्यों बक बक करूंगा आप लोग भी बोलिए
Okay. Interpolation is taking it backward.
taking it
पीछे की तरफ ले जाओ या towards zero. अगर graph पर if I have to explain, then if you are starting from somewhere, you can take it beyond it. That is towards the zero. And extrapolation is whatever the maximum number we are getting, उसके आगे ले जाना.
Okay.
Forward, taking it forward. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Archana. और कोई? Archana has elaborated it, but let me tell you. Let's say we have now census going on. Okay. What will be our population in 2031? What is the growth of the population? If you see the trend, our growth rate, let's say 2.8%. With all possible control, let's say it can be 2.5% or let's say 2%. If it has to be extrapolated, means stretching the graph. Let's say you have the population of 1991, 2001, 2011, 2021. Then stretch the graph, as Archana was telling, to 2031. And where it will be? Let's say it can be, let's say now our population is 141 crore. It can be, let's say, somewhere in 150 crores, right? With all possible, control. Let's say intrapolation, if you want to know what was the population in 1999 or 1995. So intrapolate from 91 to 2001. In between, you see the graph. Wherever it touches the axis from the x and y axis when you join, that becomes the population. That is known as intrapolation. Is it okay? Archana, is it okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so intrapolation and extrapolation. What I want to tell is, when you do this predictive study, not only regression equation, let's say from such data also you can interpolate and extrapolate. Okay, that's what I was trying to tell. So with this basic purpose of research, means with the objective, anybody is telling something? Anybody is saying something? No. किसी को कुछ दिक्कत है तो you can ask in between. I don't have any problem. किसी को कुछ पूछना है? Anybody want to ask something? No. Okay. I heard some voice, somebody telling something, therefore I thought somebody is asking. What I want to tell is, with the purpose of research, means with the objectives, you are not free to select any design or any type of research. When your objectives are decided, your design is also ultimately being decided. You are not free. Rather, you are bound to follow that design, right? But following the design, also you have certain issues which a researcher must ask to himself. How far are we successful? I'm on the second column. Okay. Just 1 minute. Yeah. How far are we successful in revealing the truth from our research, right? Whether the truth is final or further investigation is needed, whether the explanation that we have given is true, and it is fitting to similar situation, and whether the prediction is coming to be truth. What we have said is coming to be truth, right? So these are certain questions what we must have to ask to ourselves. Some consideration while selecting a topic and areas of the study. I will just go through it. I will not take time on this. I am just reading it out. What is your interest area? What is your strength and weakness and your intellectual ability? What is your financial status? What is time? Somebody said cooperation needed from the people and organization, its values in the discipline and academic contribution that you can make, whether it is path breaking, what is the demand in job market and what is its employability, and whether it is self-satisfying. If it is not self-satisfying, there is a danger that you may live in between. Okay, so some introductory part of research when you carry out. I think these must have been done so far, but I will just take 1 minute. I will read it out for you. How to develop a research question is a very basic requirement. You must ask to yourself. When you develop a research question, it should be on the topic, right? It should be searching, right? It should be revealing facts, and it should be something innovative. Not that something is being done and you are again repeating it. Whether it is adding to the font of knowledge, right? Then how to develop the rationale of the study. When you develop the rationale of the study, research gap, what you already have learned maybe from the review of literature, right? Further, the rationale, how this study is going to be useful to the discipline or to the area in which you are working, whether it is benefiting the society at large, right? These are certain questions, because as a developing nation, we cannot waste our human resources and on something rudimentary. So whether it is productive, right? So these are the points what you shall ask yourself when you are developing the rationale. Conceptualization of the research topic. When you say conceptualization, what are the different terms, different concepts? They are to be elaborated, they are to be defined, and they are to be to the context. Then formulation of a topic, how you formulate with proper wording and all that. Formulation of objectives we have discussed. It should be to the point, on the topic, very specific, and should be searching. Hypothesis of the study, it is that is a conjectural statement, something that is going to be proved or disproved, right? And scope of the study, what is the scope of the study? You must dwell on these things at the very introductory stage, at the primary stage. I am in a hurry because you must have already done these points. Limitation of the study, what is the limitation, I mean to which it is appropriate, and what is the setting of the study, where it is being conducted. Okay. Now, what is the process of doing research? We have already discussed it, but please read them. Conceptualization, first, research question, rationalization, objectives, hypothesis, then design of the study, right? What we are going to discuss today. Population and target population. By the way, what is target population? What is population? Anybody would like to share? What is population? What is target population? What is population and what is target population? Anybody? Who is telling? Chaudhary. कौन बोल रहे हैं? What do you mean by population of the study?
The total people who can participate is a population, and the only people whom I wish that they should take part is a target population who actually fall for the same study.
Okay, population, when you say it is a broader one, for them, the research findings may not be applicable, may not hold true, but still they may use it, right? But when you say target population, the sample from where you are drawing your population is target population. They are directly, I mean, research finding is directly applicable to them. Based on that population from where you have taken sample, let's say problems of students of Gujarat board, right? When you study the population of Gujarat, I mean the problems of Gujarat board students, that's the target population, but it can be applicable to the other also, right? To the other boards also, right? Or when you say problems of secondary school students, let's say you have taken only Gujarat board, so Gujarat board is the target population, but to others also it may be used, but it may not be holding true to them directly, right? So that is target population. Okay. Now, uh, coming back to that target population, then, yeah, tools and techniques of this study: data collection, data storing and retrieval, data analysis, data interpretation, deriving findings and conclusion, suggestions and implications. These are the steps generally a researcher follow. Okay. Anybody has any dispute on this? Anybody has any dispute on this?
No, sir.
Huh? Anybody has any problem with these steps? I mean, these are the steps we generally follow. Okay. If no, then I will go to the other points. Okay. Okay. So these points are put here for further clarification as to how we go ahead with the research process when you design. Okay. A researcher, by the way, is not a simple person like you. You are already a qualified person, having some at least 25 years of experience in the society, right? Your interaction with the people in the family, outside the family, let's say in the institution where you are enrolled, let's from the primary school till today, maybe where you are working. So that adds to your researchers, I mean your knowledge and wisdom, right? So you are a person with a lot of knowledge and wisdom in the field where you are studying. If you say that you don't have the knowledge and wisdom, you are not qualified to be a researcher. So assuming that a researcher is having a lot of knowledge and wisdom, then only research process can be carried out by him. Okay. So that's a primary requirement. First, you as a researcher. Further, you as a person, you derive logic from science, from your culture, from the politics of the contemporary society, from your constitution, right? From international also level, I mean, things what is being going on, right? Let's say what is going on in Russia, what is going on in Ukraine, what is going on in the other countries. From these problems also you derive your logic, right? And that adds to your conceptualization. Then past knowledge and literature study. You study the literature. So the 1, 2, 3, right? When they are there, that leads to conceptualization of that topic, right? And when you conceptualize, you develop what is the rationale of the study, you develop research questions, you develop objectives, then you develop hypothesis, right? And based on the objectives and hypothesis and research questions, primarily on the objectives and hypothesis, you design your study, then you go for data collection and analysis, and also take into consideration the field reality, what you have experienced. Then you realize the objectives, right? As part of the objectives and hypothesis, you analyze your data, that is realizing objective 10, then hypothesis verification, and then as part of that, go to 12. If need be, you modify the objectives, go for again data collection, right? Again analysis, and then see your findings, right? When you, let's say, when you, many of the researchers have this misconception. Let's say when you analyze your data as per the objectives, you do not go to the field. No, that's not right. Maybe you have to go to the field if certain objectives are not getting fulfilled, or if it needs certain modification. Not that objectives are once formulated are permanent. They can be modified. Only topics are not liable to be modified. Even topics are also modified in some of the institutions to some extent, right? Then you derive findings from there, and then discussion of the findings. And when you discuss findings, reflect on your conceptualization, your primary phase, your logic, right? Your knowledge, your wisdom, your literature. All these are to be brought here. what I want to tell you here or suggest you is, I have seen many of the theses. I must have evaluated around 80 theses in my career, and I found that this is a basic problem when you say discussion. Many of the researchers, they leave it at findings and conclusion. When you do not discuss as per the field reality, as per the past literature, what they have found, where your findings stand, whether there can be any modification. Let's say even if you found something, if your common sense does not say that it is true, you can look back, right? So that's the very objective or purpose of discussion of findings. And from this only you can finalize the finding, right? Final findings, right? Finally. So that's a very crucial stage. Many of the researchers, they leave that. That's what I want to point out here. Now, development of objectives. Just spend 1 minute on this. I will not take time on that. Statement of objectives be clear, free from any ambiguity. Let's say many of the researchers will say to study the problems of children in Gujarat state. But what problem? Which standard? Right? Whether social problem, psychological problem, educational problems, what? Right? So the statement when you are making, it should be to the point, very much on the topic, and should be clear, should not have any double interpretation. Right? Relevant to the topic and research questions. Shall be achievable. Not that you plan some objective, very lofty one, and cannot be achieved. Let's you say that I want to find out whether the faith on God has any impact on the personality of the person. That cannot be verified. Whether God is there, not God, what is the faith and not. So something abstract cannot be studied. It becomes a philosophical study, but that too also it is very lucid. Shall be trackable, means you should be able to track what the progress, whether it is done, whether it is verifiable, and whether you can do it. So trackable, how far you have progressed. Now, when you say hypothesis formulation, I don't want to dwell on this. You know meaning of hypothesis. I have already said conjectural statement, something related to your topic. What is going to happen? Need of having, what is the need of having hypothesis? It provides you direction, right? What are the types of hypothesis? You have null hypothesis, research hypothesis, or you can say alternative hypothesis. Two examples are being given here. I will share this slide. You may read it. Okay. So go to the next slide. What is a research design? Now it comes, right? We have already discussed what is a design. We have already discussed what is research. I repeat, research is a scientific process, right? When Sigdar was telling very rightly, whereby you can verify. You can also do the same thing and get the same result. That is scientific, systematic, right? And design means a plan, a mega plan, a structure, right? I was referring to some of the books, and you can see that 4 definitions are being given from 4 books. Curlinger, you can read. He has said that it is a plan, a structure, a master plan that is conceived for data collection and its analysis. I must add here at the very primary stage, at the beginning stage of the research, not at the end of the research or not at the mid of the research. Okay. Green and Toll, what they have defined is specific methods and procedure. Please note, methods and procedure. What for? Of acquiring the information needed, means data needed. What data to collect and where to collect. Means what is the data to be collected and what is the sample, what is the target population, what is the population, right? Then William Jickman, what is defined? It is a master plan. As Curlinger has defined, it is a master plan, a mega plan. It is a master plan, specifying methods and procedure for data collection and analysis, just like Curlinger. Then Sellige and others, what they define is, it is a plan to collect and analyze data as per the purpose, means objectives of the study, with economy in procedure. Please note that he has added this one, with economy of procedure. To sum up here, maybe what is design? What is design? I have wrote these 2 points for you. After analyzing this definition, it is a strategy plan, right, for answering your research questions using empirical data So it is a structure, a framework that is developed by researcher to achieve the objectives of research or testing the hypothesis. Right? By the way, if I tell you whether all the research that you conduct has hypothesis, anybody will tell me? Anybody has conducted a research or conducting a research having no hypothesis? Please tell me. Anybody? Rahul, what type of research? Whether you have a hypothesis in your study? Rahul Khatik, I am seeing your photo, therefore asking you. Anybody else will tell me? Whether hypothesis is very essential in all types of research, in what type of research you require hypothesis or no hypothesis. Anybody will tell?
Hypothesis would come in the positivist kind of a research where you have to.
Who is telling? May I know Mansuri, Sanobar?
Sir, I'm Priyanka.
प्रियंका कहाँ दिख रहे तुम्हारा कहीं दिख नहीं रहे ओके बोलो प्रियंका
So is it like hypothesis is important in a positivist kind when your approach to research is positivist in the positivist paradigm, you tend to develop a hypothesis and then negate it, or either you negate the hypothesis or you say that it holds true. So maybe the paradigm, if your paradigm of research is positivist, then maybe hypothesis would be there in the research. Otherwise, it's not completely essential. That's maybe.
Okay. If you are conducting a qualitative type of study, okay, let's say case study, okay, let's say methodology, let's say phenomenological study, there you cannot have hypothesis, you may have research questions, okay. So a research that you conduct, which may be, as you say very rightly, positivist paradigm. Let's say you are conducting an experimental research, right? Let's say correlational research, right? Let's say survey research. You may have you may have hypothesis, but in certain other types of research, let's say in action research, you may have hypothesis that this problem can be solved by applying this strategy, right? Let's say you are conducting a developmental research. In the sense, you are developing a package and trying to put this package into experiment, and you can say that this package will be effective, right? Okay, or not effective, right? Means whether you can say or you cannot say. If you cannot say what is going to happen, you may go for, let's say, null hypothesis. You are not sure. If you are so sure that it is going to impact in a negative manner or positive manner, you can have a directional hypothesis. And thereby, when you conduct case study for in-depth understanding, let's say certain extreme cases, let's say when you are going to conduct a phenomenological study, ethnomethodological study, let's say studying a tribal group, ethnic group, how they live, what are their behavior, how they rear their children, how they view education about their children. Let's say when they are exploratory, right? You cannot have such hypothesis, but you can have certain research questions. Okay. But having objectives is very much essential, right? Research question also you may not be able to develop at the very beginning. You may not be knowing about the situation. Maybe at certain stage when you go and study and collect certain primary data, having field experience, right? Study literature, then you may develop research question. And certainly, as you said very rightly, if it is positivist paradigm, then certainly you can go for hypothesis, maybe null hypothesis, or direct. And go. Right. I think that is clear. So what is the design? I think we have done it. Okay. Just 1 minute. Some sound is coming. Okay. Just 1 minute. Let me go to the next slide. Okay. So how it helps? when you have an objective or hypothesis, it helps the researcher to plan. As we are very beginning telling, objectives are very much essential for planning process, right? So if you have objectives, then only you can go for planning. You can identify the sources of data, sample, right? Who can give you the data? You can identify the population of the study or target population and the sampling. By the way, about population, I want to tell further, you must have studied, there are also different type of population, right? Not target population and population, but population where you can count the units and population where it is indefinite, right? Okay, so I think that point should be clarified. Indefinite population, let's say all the whites in the world, can you count? It is not possible. Let's say all the whalefish in the ocean, can you count? Maybe you cannot count, right? So let's say all the salt trees, or let's say teak tree in the jungle, can you count? Maybe you will not be able to count. Let's say all the, so that is applicable to the person, I mean to those, but you may not be able to count them, right? But target population is something you can count, and certainly when you say target population, right, maybe it will be an area, maybe it will be certain units of people or institution, right? So finite, infinite, and then target population. Then tools and techniques of the study you may be able to plan. Then data collection process you may be able to plan, that is when to collect, how to collect, right? And data analysis methods you can plan. And these are possible when you have the objectives, and then only you can develop the plan, okay? Why is it needed? Right? Why a plan is needed? Why design is needed? When you have a design, it will help you as to what observations to make, means what data to collect. Observations here means what data, whether to measure, how to measure, whether to observe by using certain other gadgets like ICT, video recording, audio recording, or maybe certain other process, whether directly observing or participant, non-participants, all those, right? How to make observations. That's what I was trying to tell, whether participant observation, non-participant observations, or how, right? How to analyze them. How many observations are to make, that you can make. When you said that it is sufficient, right? Let's say you have snowball sampling. When you said that it is enough, right? I think you understand what is snowball sampling. That is a non-random sampling. How to manipulate the data. How to manipulate the experimental variable, that is independent variable. Manipulate means how to give the treatment. How long the treatment will be given, right? When to give treatment, in what situation the treatment will be given, right? All those planning. And that will help you. How to categorize attribute variables. What is attribute variables, by the way? What do you mean by attribute variables? What is attribute variables? Anybody will tell me what is attribute variables? कोई दिख नहीं रहा है, कोई बोलिए. What is attribute variable? Puri Purana. What is attribute variable? Puri Purana, please. Puri Purana. We have somebody like by name Puri Purana. Not listening, Puri Purana. Then let's say Puri New. Durgesh, what is that I was asking? Nobody?
So sometimes it refers to those attributes or variables which we cannot actually alter or change.
Okay. Who is speaking? What is your name?
I'm Felix.
Felix. Okay. Okay. So what I was telling is attribute variables. Attribute variables are the attributes of the sample units. Let's say that intellectual ability, right? On the basis of intellectual ability, you can analyze the data. let's say in the very beginning, at the time of sampling or giving treatment, you have not taken that into consideration. So intellectual ability, their background, like maybe rural or urban, male or female, let's say English school educated or vernacular school educated. So these are the attribute variables, and attribute variables, you can take them for classification and analyze the data accordingly at the time of data collection. If you have not taken them into consideration at the time of manipulation of the variable treatment, that is at the time of experimentation, at the time of data collection, right? So that is attribute variable. Okay. Now, why is it needed? Why design, research design is needed? We have already discussed this. What observations to make, how to make observation, how to analyze, how many observations, I repeat, how to manipulate, how to categorize. Okay. Then, what is the basic purpose of design? This is very pertinent. It will reduce cost. How it will reduce cost? Maybe you can take a sample, maybe nearby, approachability. Maybe you do not require to collect a lot of data, but still the research questions or hypothesis can be tested, right? With minimum, and you get the same thing, same fact, same truth, right? So you reduce cost. Facilitate smooth scaling of your research. That is progress step by step. That is the scaling, smooth scaling. Your progress, you can monitor your progress. If you have a plan, you can monitor your progress, right? Let's say, when you say smooth scaling, let's say you have a plan to go from Baroda to Ahmedabad, okay? And step by step, when you say, let's say you are going through the expressway, what are the places you will be crossing at what time? Let's say Anand, after half an hour. Let's say Nadia, after another half an hour. Let's say Ahmedabad, after another half an hour. Whether you have been able to achieve it, the target as per your timing. Let's say what are the problems you are facing. So you can have a scaling, have a monitoring process in place, whether you are progressing, whether you are in the right track, that will help you. You have a plan. If you don't have a plan in place, you don't know whether you are progressing, whether your data collection is over, whether you still need data, whether what you are doing, you are in dark. Okay. Then third point is you collect relevant data which are needed for your study, right? Otherwise, you will be collecting a lot of data and you are lost in the process. What data are needed to achieve your objective, verify your hypothesis, that will be clear when you have a design. Smooth flow of research operation, that is related to the second point. All the steps can be done without any hassles. Then helps review from experts. It will help you to find out experts, and when you have a plan, who are the people, what are their expertise, how much experience they should have, you can identify them and also give them the proper points on what you require, their opinion. Provides direction to executives, right? To the executives means, let's say you have a plan, you have a research plan, you want it to be financed. Let's say when people finance, when any organization finance you, right, they have to see what is the applicability of the research, what is the sample you are taking, how much time you are taking, how much money you need to spend, right? So that will help the financer, the executive, the person to take a decision whether to accept or not to accept your proposal. Okay. So these are certain basic purpose of a design. I read it again because this is very much essential as per my consideration. It will reduce your cost. It will facilitate your smooth scaling and your progress of research. It will help you to collect relevant data, right? And it will help you to have a smooth process of conducting your research. Fifth point, it will help to get the review of your research by expert, get their opinion, and find that you are in the right track, and it helps them. And also, they can give their expert opinion whether it has to be financed or need not be financed. Then sixth point, it will help the executives to take proper direction, and they can give you proper directions. These are the 6 points which are very much essential, and they are a very basic purpose of a research design. Okay. What are the types of research design? Basically, we have qualitative research design and quantitative research design. First, quantitative research design. Under that, as somebody was telling, I forgot her name, positivist paradigm. Experimental design and quasi-experimental design. By the way, most of the research in social sciences are quasi-experimental in nature. Right? Social sciences in the sense, let's say education, psychology, sociology, all these are meaning. You cannot have full control. Quasi-experiment means semi-control. You cannot have full control on the units of the sample or the people on whom they are conducting experiment, because they are human beings. What to talk of human beings, even on animals, you cannot have proper control. And most of them are, let's say, today banned. You cannot have frogs in your lab. You cannot conduct your experiment on the guinea pigs. You cannot conduct your experiment on also monkeys and many of these animals, right? So most of the experiments, certainly in social sciences, are quasi-experimental design. But if we are talking of pure science,
experiential or descriptive? Gala, कहो ना, gala, कहो ना, हिंदी कहो जे, और कुछ नहीं करवा रहा है। मैं फर्स्ट टाइम देखी थी। सबसे पहले जाओ तो ऑफिस में तो छोटा नहीं है कौन? तो इसे सेटिंग कर देते हैं, इतना मनो छोटा जाले बंद ही जाएगा। अरे वाह, वाईफाई टैगिंग चलेगा। मैं फेटे देखो बेटा रात दिन ना सुनता मोर भल होला बहुत मैं केबल लगे बोची सरी गले वाईफाई लगेबी एटा तो सरुनी ना हां नाइ सरी के तो बाहर ले वाईफाई नाले मोबाइल ले डाटा रा प्रॉब्लम है एटे दरकार पड़े पळो एटे गाय गाय लगेबो एटे जदी असुविधा हो हां
survey. What is a survey first? Door-to-door visit and collection of the data. Know your name.
Door-to-door visit. What is survey?
Just begin.